Okay, everybody, we're going to get started again. Before we get back to Brandeis, there is a couple of sponsors that I would like to thank. CABR, Canadian Association of Broadcast Representatives, who are sponsoring the sales session that you're sitting at, and we want to especially thank them because thanks to them there is a DES again this year. Numeris, which is our breakfast sponsor, and Factor, which is a platinum sponsor. In addition to that, we're going to have Brandeis come back up here and continue. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get into a Q&A to see if you guys remember anything and how many of you really want to go back to flossing. This is some great stuff that we're hearing again, learning for the first time. It's very exciting to be in the chair listening to you, Brandeis. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome again for Brandeis Holiday.
Thank you. I got a chance to kind of glad hand a bunch of you as I ran trying to replace my copy. I had one and it went somewhere, so obviously I'm a detail person. And one lady, thank you very much. I don't know if she came back or not, but she was very kind and gracious. She said, "You're brilliant." And it made me feel so warm, but I have to correct her on that because how brilliant can I be when I had my glasses on top of my head this morning and applied hairspray? Or Keith back there was watching me pour water and then dabble it on my glasses and I'm rubbing my sweater on it. I don't know if it's ever going to come off, but some of you have been trying to follow along in the worksheet and you found I'm like a cricket on a hot stove. I mean well, but I bounce around. So during the Q&A we can fill in some blanks. Some of it I say it, but I don't say it like it's written, and so you're like, oh gosh, you're flipping back 3 pages going, there it is. And I'm happy to help you after if you're like, okay, what was this? It looked important. It may have been. But I did notice that I missed 82% of salespeople. Lunacy. 82% of salespeople never visit a client's website before calling on them. 82%. Can you believe that? Yeah, one of them's up here going, I don't. So, if you at least visit a client's website before you call on them, you're already better than 82% of other salespeople. Woo! And so there, you just all got a promotion. The website's going to tell you what products are in season and what's going on. And if you read the About Us page, which no one has read but the owner since the page went up, it's valuable because it gives you some of the history. You're certainly going to have some anticipated knowledge on if they're going to say family owned and operated because it'll be on the About Us page, what kind of causes they're in. If their great-granddad started the business, you know that's going to come up in the client needs analysis, and you may have a talking point. Maybe your great-granddad started a business. So, read the About Us page, but look at what's on their website. We talked about getting the appointments, and that it is harder. You're not imagining. You're like, oh, it seems harder to get the appointment than it was 10 years ago. You are not imagining that. How many of you have fewer people working at your station than you did 10, 15 years ago? We're a long way from, you look lovely without your glasses, Miss Davis, right? People used to have receptionists, secretaries who typed all their letters. Even corporate executives now answer their own emails. All those poor guys are having to learn how to spell. Because they don't have someone to take dictation and write all their stuff for them. They read their own, they write their own. Everybody has gotten smaller, including you. You've probably found you're doing the work of 2 or 3 people now. At least it feels like it, right? You're certainly doing the work of 2. Some days it feels like 5. Because everybody has gotten smaller and more efficient. Technology was supposed to give us more time. Remember that? We're supposed to free up all our time. We be just as productive, but have more free time with our families. Wasn't that great? What a crock, right? Because what they did is they found out all the bean counters said, you know what we can do is cut the staff. So the technology assists you in the job, and you are more productive, but now you're doing the work of 2 or 3 people. You don't have all the assistants. So guess what? Your clients have the same problem. Small and medium businesses, SMBs, on average are called by 37 media reps per month. And that doesn't count the coffee people, the business card people, the vending machine people, the photocopier people. They're all coming in too. If there's a gatekeeper at the desk, ask them how many people are coming in. It's all day, every day. And guess what? You're just the next one. You're the next phone call that's interrupting them. You're the next person walking in the door when they're trying to get something else done. So you literally have maybe 15 seconds to get them to perceive of you as being different and or better than the last one who came in. In fact, than the previous 36. So, no challenge there, right? Some of you just got faint. Like, oh my gosh, how do I be different and better? I'll tell you, because they're paying me to do that. If you're a member of RAB, you might be getting spammed with a little thing we call radio sales today. How many of you get that in your box every day? How many of you read it every day? Don't be shy. I get it in my box every day, and even I don't read it every day. Okay? It's got 3 stories. Who's spending, what's trending. Not everyone will be interesting to you. Some you can take back to a client and send them an article. Some is information to help you sell better or see what's trending. Just give it a scan. It doesn't need an in-depth reading. But what you should pay attention to, if nothing else, is the sales tip. We send one out every day from some of the top sellers in the business. In fact, I'm showing you one. This chick who wrote this one, I hear she's brilliant. Really smart, right? This one I wrote, call a business owner after the regular work hours. They're working late and probably think you're a genius for doing that too. Doesn't matter if you're in the car. How many of you guys got the little headset? I'm working from the car, I'm working from home. So you can call them from home, right? After business hours. But if there's a gatekeeper, they've probably gone home and they're going to answer their own phone. Yay! So one little tip. So at least check that every day, okay? If you want to get the appointment, you have to do research up front. And this is an area a lot of sellers just skip. Just skip because I don't have time for that. And you're crippling yourself. So when you first get into the station and you get that cup of coffee, and you gossip with your colleagues a bit about what happened on The Bachelor last night, or who got booted off the island on Survivor, or whatever the show is. But man, the politics are just fun to watch like that too, right? Who just got voted out in Virginia? It's like tribal council. You're out. Right? But go in there and do a little research before you hit the street. Or do it the night before you leave. What's going on in this industry? There's tons of articles. I mean, come on, there's Google. We have the chance to actually know more information than ever before in history. Anything you want to know, you can find out. Have you done that? Any question? Some question pops in while you're driving to work, and when you get to the office, you Google it. I mean, if your attention span is that long. Some of us mean to Google it, and then we get there and forget to Google it until we're driving home. You're like, oh. But you can Google almost anything, and yet people are less informed than ever. Like, how do you not know that? And they're like, it's on Google. So there's no excuse to not know what's going on in somebody's industry. If you're selling to someone in the fast food industry, you know they have local money, right? They're franchises, so they have local franchise money through their franchise group, or sometimes just their own pockets. And so they will spend local, and I'm talking, Wendy's, McDonald's, they have local money to spend. What's the number one thing they're discussing in their industry right now? What's the hot button? What's the hot topic? Anybody know?
Minimum wage.
That is a hot topic. It's not number one, but I don't expect anybody to know because how many of us are calling on them right now? When you leave here, you will, right? You're like, dang, local money, who knew?
Nutrition.
Nutrition was last year, but it's still there because they wanted to know, do we do the calorie counts on the menu? The beef? Where's the beef? I just aged myself, right?
Yeah.
The price of beef went up, so everybody started selling chicken and fish patties and raising prices. The number one thing is mobile ordering. That is the number one issue. The pizza people have it down, right? Can't you go on to the pizza place, order your pizza? They'll either bring it to you, you can swing by and pick it up. But how do you do that with McDonald's? How do you order online, swing through the drive-thru, and your order is ready, hot and fresh as you hit that line? That's tricky. And that's what they're trying to figure out how to do because everybody knows mobile is where everything is going. Where everything is going. Radio's there, right? I don't even know why they call that a phone. How many of you guys call that thing a phone? How many of you left home and turned around and got back to get it? You wouldn't go back and get your kids. Like, they'll just have to skip school. I forgot Joel again. Well, I'll just tell them he was sick today. Right? You wouldn't go back for your kids, but you'll go back for your phone. And we call it a phone when doesn't it take pictures? And isn't it a computer? You can go on Google, and it's also a gaming system. You don't have to have a big Pac-Man thing anymore, right? Doesn't it do all this other stuff? It's an alarm clock, but we call it a phone because the phone people branded that sucker, and they're never going to let go. We have to do the same with radio. Learn about the prospect's company. There's websites like hoovers.com. Put the S on there, or you get the vacuum cleaner people. thelist.com, they'll tell you when their fiscal year is, who their top executives are, so you can look at all those different budgets beyond advertising, sponsorship, sampling, couponing, research and development. They've got budgets and budgets and budgets, like cargo pants, there's money in all those pockets, right? If you can, walk the store before you even approach them for a appointment. Because if the lighting is bad, if they're hard to get to, if there's terrible customer service, if it's dirty, do you really want to send your listeners there? You want to make sure they're worthy of you. Not everybody you first look at to advertise is worthy to be on your station. They should have to earn that. Sometimes we're so desperate at the end of the month. Again, fear goggles, anybody? But they should be worthy to be there because you're going to send the consumers that listen to your station there. And if they start finding they cannot trust your ads, they won't trust any of your ads. Remember those body wraps lose 30 pounds in an hour? I would hear those on radio and I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Because what does it say about all your other advertisers? You will let anybody on the air. And you don't care about me as a listener at all. So make sure they're worthy. And then even fewer of those who are worthy to be on your station are worthy to be on your list. Especially if you've been selling more than 5 years. If you've been selling more than 5 years, you should only be working with the very best in your market. How many clients can you really have and service and get results for? Especially if you want to develop Stockholm Syndrome. You could have a list of 20, 25, 30 and be making more money than you could dream of with these people if you've got Stockholm Syndrome with them. Because when they start making the profit on their advertising, it comes time to renew the contract, you just upgrade them. Because they're greedy, true? If they spent $100,000 with me this year and they got $200,000 back, isn't it easy to upgrade them to $200,000? $250,000? Because they're going to keep looking for that 2-to-1 return on their investment. Of course, now they're going to say, I want 5-to-1. I'm like, me too. Good luck getting a station that'll commit to that. But if they're getting profit on their advertising, then they just upgrade. You don't have to have that many clients. And your boss isn't mad at you about not billing enough because you just keep upgrading those clients and bringing in more money. Okay? But make sure they're worthy of you. Know the decision maker's name? It's online somewhere. And you can stalk them a little bit, not enough to get a restraining order. But go on their LinkedIn page. And if you don't know the decision maker's name for who you're trying to reach, just go to somebody on LinkedIn in the company because they're usually networked with either somebody else in the company or a former employee of the company, and then you go to their page and they probably linked in with the person who replaced them at that company, and it's a bit like dot to dot trying to find the picture, and you can find out who the decision makers are. But you should at least know their name. You want to have smart questions in advance of calling on them, including calling to get the appointment. You gotta have some smart questions. You gotta have questions that drive a physiological reaction, to make the hair on the back of their neck kind of stand up. A question I like to ask sellers that has nothing to do with selling, but it gives you an idea of the kind of question. I'm gonna ask you today, you don't have to answer me, some of you will email it to me. Some of you will never hear from again. If you could have lived the life of any fictional character, books, music, TV, movies, comics, any fictional character, but you have to live the entire life of that fictional character, both good and bad, who would you pick and why? What a strange question. But everybody in this room just had a physiological reaction to it. I love watching you guys when I ask that. Several people's eyes shoot forward. Get that look, you know? Some of you look down. Everybody started going, everybody over 30 went to their mental Rolodex, right? You start doing this, you mentally always go there. And you're flipping through the cards in your Rolodex. You're like, maybe. Because there's so many possibilities. Especially when it's the entire life. Now all the guys immediately went, Superman! But then they'll stick it in their back pocket and say, wait, maybe Iron Man, maybe you start going through the rest. Because the question interests you at a physiological level because it either says something about how you perceive yourself, who you perceive yourself to be, or how you wish to be perceived by others. The answer to that question comes in one of those two categories. And some of you will spend the next week chewing on that. You'll chew all the flavor out of it and then stick it in your hair. So good luck with that. Feel free to email me. I might care. The last thing I had there was, that's interesting. But don't email me Superman, I get that one a lot. The other thing was to have a valid business reason. We're going to come back to that. We have a lot of invalid business reasons we call on people. Do you have a pre-contact checklist? We have one on RAB.com. Things you do before you call on them. Every pilot goes through a pre-contact checklist. Doesn't mean nothing will go wrong, but it certainly reduces the odds. Have you gone to their LinkedIn page? Have you checked out their Facebook page? It's amazing what you find out about people on Facebook. Even the people you work with, oh, I thought he was like this, but who knew? He's totally different on Facebook, right? What can you do to be better prepared? What do you want to take with you? You can fill out a meeting planner. I used to fill out one of these before every appointment. Once I got the appointment, I would fill this out. Who's going to be there? What value am I bringing to this meeting? Me personally, against even my colleagues. What are the benefit of meeting with me? One of the benefits of meeting with me is I can add radio to your existing media mix without increasing your budget by a single penny. How's Wednesday at 2:15? Would that interest people? There goes the budget objection right there. I can add radio to your media mix without increasing your budget, and I can make your radio advertising, make your newspaper advertising more effective. How's Wednesday at 2:15? That's a valid business reason to call, isn't it? That's one of the benefits of meeting with me. So in the meeting planner, what are some of the objections they might have? I put 2 or 3 of your client needs analysis questions that you really want to make sure you get in there. How many of us have gotten in there, started a client needs analysis, left without asking the one question we really wanted to ask? Right? How many of you go to the store to get milk and come out with $300 worth of groceries, but not milk? We do that in our CNAs too, so make sure they're on there. If they start stalling, how are you going to get around that? That's all on the meeting planner. You notice it's pretty much fill in the blanks. Okay? And by the way, I think that's up on RAB.com. If it's not, I'll send you one. Okay? Oh, look, before the call, there's that valid business reason to call them again. It keeps coming up. You've got to come up with one. And I need a sale is not a valid business reason to call on this person. That's the reason we call on those people. Why are you calling on this particular car dealership? I need a sale. It's not valid, okay? You want to have your meeting planner ready and your elevator speech ready. By the way, your elevator speech should be able to be customized to every client. It's bad enough you have to think on your feet in 10 seconds. Now you got to customize it in 7, right? My name is Brandeis Hall. I'm with the Radio Advertising Bureau, and I'm calling because, fill in the blank. There's that valid business reason. I specialize in creating successful broadcast campaigns that build traffic for businesses here in Greater Narnia. I'm calling to schedule a brief meeting with you to discuss how I can be a benefit to you and your business. How's Wednesday at 2:15? Why would I keep saying things like Wednesday at 2:15 or Monday at 10:45?
Sure, you're busy.
I am busy, that's right. People say, well, when is good for you to the client? It sounds like you could hold a monster truck rally in your schedule. Successful people are busy people. You say, well, I'm not that busy, so you're not that successful. This is show business. There's room for a little blue smoke and mirrors, right? So you say, 2:50, why not 2 o'clock?
2:15 is something more specific, makes it seem like you actually have something to do at 2.
Yes, I do. I have to be at Starbucks at 2.
If you say 2:15, the person who you're meeting with figures the meeting may be a little bit shorter. You're not going to take up half an hour.
Yeah, it's 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Say 2 o'clock, they assume you want an hour of their time. They don't have that. You say 2:30 or 10:30, they think it's half an hour. They don't have that. You haven't convinced them of anything yet. You say 2:15 or 10:45 or 9:15. They think it's going to take 15 minutes. And frankly, your first meeting to determine how you can be a benefit to you in this business should only take 15 minutes. Because you don't have to do a client needs analysis in that first appointment. We tend to think we got to get in there, get the client needs analysis, sell them the radio station, and get them to sign in that first meeting. You've got time. And the more successful you are, the more time you got. Even if you miss the end of the month, your boss is like, yeah, whatever. If you're going to close them in 2 weeks, that's fine too. Because you're signing big contracts. You start finding those monthly deadlines are shiftable for you because of the kind of business you're doing. You get away with murder, by the way, more successfully. Have you noticed that? People most successful get away with anything they want. It's not fair. Yes, it is. When you bill like they do, you can get away with murder too. Just plain mental illness. Okay? You want to ask for 15 minutes because all you want to do in the first meeting is see how you can set up being a benefit and then set up a meeting for the client needs analysis. If your client wants to drift on into it and says, I've got time and wants to do it right then, that's great. But otherwise, you should be packing it up at the 14th minute because they've got that 15th minute allocated already. And you just set up the next meeting if it looks like it's a go. So there's that valid business reason. What you can do for the client. Your valid business reason should be customer focused. And that's great trying to get the appointment because you don't actually know anything about them yet. No problem, right? So, hi, Brandeis Hall with Radio Advertising Bureau. I'm sure I caught you in the middle of something, and he says, yes. I like to disarm him with that. I'm sure I just caught you in the middle of something. Because don't you always catch him in the middle of something? So I acknowledge it up front. That's not for everybody. It may not be your style. That's okay. Don't do it if it's not your style. The reason I'm calling is I noticed on Yelp.com that there's a bunch of negative reviews that have been published recently. At which point he interrupts you and says, I'm sorry, where? Yelp. What? And then you hear him typing, click, 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 click. What are they doing? Yeah, they're only half listening to you now. That's fine, because I can sneak up and bite them in the butt now. They're not going to see me coming. They're busy looking up Yelp.com and what's on there? Negative reviews. Which I put there. No, I didn't put it. But you all believe I'm capable of it, don't you? Yeah. And listen, if they've got negative reviews going back to the origins of the Garden of Eden, don't call on them. You can't fix them. But if they've mostly had positive reviews and then all of a sudden it's a particular salesperson and you can see the problem and it's recent, use that as your valid business reason. I specialize in creating campaigns, broadcast campaigns, if you want to say that change public perception for local businesses here in Greater Narnia. Isn't that what he wants to do? If he's got bad reviews, suddenly he's thinking he needs to change public perception. So I customized it. In other ones that build sales traffic for businesses, whatever it is I think they want to do. But in this one I had an idea. I'd like to schedule a brief meeting with you to see how I can be of benefit to you and your business, you and your hardware store. You can be more specific. How's Wednesday at 2:15? Does that work? Yeah. So think about it. Everybody you're going to prospect in the next week, what's your valid business reason? I just heard all of your brains collectively scream silently, oh crap. Because we generally don't have one. So now you're going to have to go back and be better at your game. Because what you're looking for is autonomy. That's why we're in sales. We like to manage ourselves. But we also need to be looking for mastery. Do you really want to be the best in your business? Do you want to be the best in the market? Do you want other salespeople to look at you and go, oh, dang, I wish I could do that. Mastery. And you can. So maybe this is the area that you're going to pick and say, I need to work on the VBR, the valid business reason. Anybody I'm going to prospect on, why am I calling on that business? Why Steve's Heating and Air Conditioning and not Mike's? Because they're there or they might have money is not valid. It's valid to you. But you got to dig deep, do your research. What's the deal? What attracted you to them? Okay? I like to send a pre-call letter to some of them, especially if I can't get them on the phone. And it's basically my elevator speech in a letter. And I mail that to them, snail mail. I hand address the envelope so it totally fools them. Look, a personal letter. How many of you get those? Yeah. And they open it up. Oh. And it says, I'm going to call you mid-morning Tuesday. And the guy gets the letter and he folds it up and he puts it on his desk and he puts his coffee cup on it at some point. You get that little ring on there. And it sits there and he's totally forgotten about me. And Tuesday mid-morning, what do? I keep my word. I call up. The gatekeeper says, is he expecting your call? Well, yes. Yes, he is. She's like, Mr. Jeffries, I got a Brandeis Hall on the phone. That name sticks out. And he's like, she says you're expecting her call? He's like, oh yeah. And he pulls that out and be like, Tuesday mid-morning. So I've already got credibility because I'm already keeping my first promise. Does he remember I was going to call? No. But now, is he not going to take the call? He's going to take it. Because I said I'd call, and I'm calling on time. Now he feels guilty because he should have been expecting my call. Never mind that I knew he wasn't. So I'm one up and he's one down, right? That's a great place to be. You call up and you give your little elevator speech. But you'll need to churn it up a little bit from the letter. You don't want to read off the letter. And then see if they can get the appointment. But you've already got a little bit of credibility. People ask me all the time, how do I get around the gatekeeper? Don't. It's very old school. It's bad politics. The gatekeeper is a person, they're just doing their job, and they're the best spy in the company. They know everything and everybody, so you need to make them an ally. Remember that seating stuff? Maybe instead of mailing it, I would come by to this one poor gatekeeper. She was the nicest lady, and every week I would stop by on a Tuesday, and I would say, you know, I'd certainly like an appointment with Mr. Jeffries, but you know what, you can't seem to get through. I tell you what, I'm just going to leave this for here for and I borrow a Post-it note from her. Can I borrow a Post-it note? When people do you a favor, for some reason they think they owe you something. Did you know that psychologically? I don't know why that is. Can I have a Post-it note? It personalizes. You take the Post-it note, like 15 minutes of your time to discuss this with you. Would you give that to him when he has them all? Come in every Tuesday. Any chance Mr. Jeffries could see me today? Nope. What I noticed about this nice lady, Sharon was her name, is she would have a little plant on her desk that was slowly dying an excruciating and horrible death. She said she watered them. I think she kind of drowned them, but she wasn't in any kind of direct sunlight. And every month or two I would come back, and I was coming back every week, but every month or two I would notice she had another plant dying slowly, but always. So one day I showed up as her plant was getting awfully crispy, and I showed up and I brought her a cactus. I said, I notice your plants keep dying. You keep trying, honey, but you can't save them, so I brought you a cactus. It doesn't need the direct sunlight. It only needs to be watered once a month. And she thought that was so nice. And we had been chatting about her kid and soccer and all that kind of stuff. I'd made friends with her. She was starting to feel sorry for me coming in every Tuesday. And she said, you know, I wanted to tell you that next Wednesday I have a dentist appointment at 3:30. So if you just happen to be stopping by here next Wednesday at 3:30, Mr. Jeffries would probably hear the bell on the door ring and have to come out himself. I said, you know, I just might be in the area next Wednesday at 3:30. Lo and behold, I was. Isn't that amazing how things like that happen? What a coinkydink. There I was, and Wednesday instead of Tuesday, walked in, the little door rang, and guess who came walking out? And I had a seating article. I said, well, I just came to leave this with Sharon for you. And he says, oh, you're the one who's been leaving these. Like he didn't know, because I left a business card every time. And he said, yeah, I got 15 minutes. I'm thinking, 15? I've left 30 of these stupid things. You owe me a month. Okay, 15 minutes. And then that led actually to 30 and 45 because he pulled out old ones, still had the Post-it note. You dropped this off, I meant to ask you. Apparently his fingers were all broken and he couldn't pick up a phone. And at some point, and I did sign him. I signed him for an annual, of course. Then you gotta have the objections, you gotta be ready. I love when people go in, senior sellers, and they get an objection, one of the big four that they hear all the time, and they go, like you weren't expecting this. So always be ready. We don't do radio, we don't do television, whatever you're selling. We're happy with our current advertising. How many of you get that one? We're happy as it is. Yeah, what liars. We don't have any money. No, they have money. They've just already allocated it everywhere. They're busy. Call back next month, which means I don't want to talk to you. Get off the phone. And so you just keep coming back, right? You seed them, and you come back with frequency. How about send me some information? Do you send them something? If you don't, well then you just drop off their radar, right? If you send them your media kit, they don't care, and they're not going to read it. They got what they wanted, you got off the phone. If you send them some articles about their business, or a chart, or something on the power of radio, have you sent them something that might get their attention? Yeah, and then you just keep seeding them until you can call them back and get an appointment. Send them something that's of value to them. Your media kit is not one of them. Your media kit should only be leveraged for getting a second client needs analysis appointment. Did you know that? How many of you guys take your media kit on your appointments with you? How many have done a client needs analysis and talked all about your station instead of them? We've all done it, right? You come in with that media kit, they know you're bringing it, right? Their eyes glaze over. You said, brought my media kit. I'm just going to leave it here for you to read at your convenience. And at our next meeting, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about it. But today, let's talk about you. And they look at me. Okay. Shields go down, because you're not going to start preaching your station at them. You talk about them. But did you notice what I sneakily did there? Next appointment, set it up. At our next meeting, I will be happy to answer any questions you have. And at the next meeting, I come in for that CNA, or a further CNA, and I walk in, he says, I got some questions about this. He read it 5 minutes before I came in the door, right? I got some questions about this. I said, great, I'm happy to answer your questions at the end of this meeting. At first, I'd like to kind of go over some of the things you told me, and ask you a couple more questions. There's a word for, a phrase for what I'm doing there. All the ladies know it very well, and all the guys have felt the sting of it. Anybody know what I'm doing there? I'm playing hard to get. How many of you guys know that one, right? All the ladies know how to play hard to get, or we should, right? Hey, I'm still playing hard to get with George Clooney. I'm playing real hard to get, right? Playing hard I'm making them earn their way back. I'll let them ask their questions, but first I'm going to talk about them. And I keep putting off their questions, and then at the end of the second meeting, I answer all their questions. But now they're curious. They're having to work on it. So, anytime they're throwing an objection at you, it's real easy to get a solution to it. Because what you want to do is address it, not get over it, not conquer it. When you were little, did you have monsters under the bed? Anybody? Or was that just me? I was raised by my dad. There were monsters under the bed. He'd put me to bed, the lights were out. 5 minutes later, he'd sit down to watch Hill Street Blues. Dad, I can't sleep. There's monsters. And in he'd come. There's no monsters. He'd flip on the light. No monsters here. See, looking under the bed. Closet. See, no monsters. Stupid kid. Out. Go back to watch Hill Street Blues. I can't sleep. Well, who was stupid? He came in and flipped on the light. What happens to monsters when you flip on the light? I was a little kid and I knew this. My dad hadn't caught on yet. College didn't do much for him. They were still there. Well, somewhere he started taking smart pills. Because he popped up one day when I couldn't sleep because of the monsters, and then he came to the can of Lysol Original Scent with a big sticker on it that said Monster Spray. And he came, I'm going to get him. Didn't flip on the light. He's spraying under the bed. He's in the closet. Psh, there's this cloud enveloping my room. Psh, Monster Spray. They're gone now, right? Of course they were. He sprayed the Monster Spray. Would it surprise any of you to know I have an unhealthy attachment to Lysol Original Scent now? Not quite, but I do spray it and it smells great, right? You want to make sure that you deal with the objection by addressing it. Their monsters are real. Just because they're not real to you doesn't mean they're not real to them. We don't do radio. Sounds like you have some concerns about the effectiveness of radio as an advertising tool. Sounds like you have concerns about whether radio would work for you. Could you tell me more about that? We don't have any money. It sounds like you're concerned about the cost of a radio campaign and that would actually grow your budget beyond what you're able. Can you tell me more about why you feel that way? Do you notice anything they say, I just keep coming back to it, sounds like you're concerned about whatever they're concerned about? No. Sounds like we're happy with our current advertising. That's wonderful, but it sounds like you're concerned that your advertising could be doing more for you. Can you tell me more about that? And if they can't talk to you a lot about it on the phone, which is great, because then you say, well, I'd like to hear more about this, how's Wednesday at 2:15? By the way, I use these when trying to close a deal too. $80,000, oh, that's a lot of money. Well, it sounds like you're concerned about the cost of your radio campaign. Can you tell me what concerns you? Sometimes you get that other client, $80,000, oh my God, are you smoking crack? That sounds like you're concerned about the cost of your radio campaign. Can you tell me what concerns you? Sounds like you're concerned about signing an annual, 12 months. Can you tell me what concerns you about a 12-month campaign? Does that make sense? And then get them talking, and usually they'll just sign themselves right in. The more they talk, the more likely you are to close the deal. I have a phrase, the more you tell, the less you sell. If you're talking, they're just making up objections. If they're talking themselves into the sale. And they're giving you opportunity to discuss their concerns, which are real. And by the way, you'll need to remember that when they want to do their ad, put all that garbage in the ad that doesn't say anything. Because the more they tell, the less they sell. Okay? Very quickly, we're going to wind on. We got 2 short parts here. Did I leave anything blank that you guys wanted to fill in there? Everybody's like, I don't know, we're not following this anymore. We'll wait for you to say something about somebody smoking crack or huffing Lysol. That's my drug of choice. You smoke what you want, So we're back to this prospecting thing. Remember your pipeline and your prospecting? Because that's really where everything begins and ends, the quality of your prospects. Are you all prospecting for new business? Yeah, you have to. Like John said, you can't wait till the end of the month. This has to be a daily thing. Constantly watching for billboards. It doesn't have to be aggressive. Just constantly have your eyes and ears open for who's spending, who's trending, who's got a good solid account that you'd like to find their competitor. By the way, be watching for the competitors of your own accounts. If you've got a really great business at the top of your account list, one of these days they could just implode on you, right? So somewhere in one of your CNAs, maybe it was one of your tracking CNAs with them on how their business was going after you signed them, find out who their worst competitor is. Who do they hate most in your market? You want to put their name down and circle it. That way when they implode on you, you go out and make that person an offer they can't refuse and put them on the air. Just to make your ex-client mad. Did I mention I was vengeful? Okay. You need new business. People are going to go away. People are going to pass away. There's attrition. There's attrition. 2% of your clients die every year. Did you know that? Well, that's true of most businesses. Have you ever had a client die on you? I've had it happen. Yeah. Some just forget to come back. Sometimes they've made a poor business decision themselves. Their own business is struggling. Remember, you're only 20% of their marketing success. They'll blame you for 100% of their failure. But you're only 20% of their success. Okay? You got to replace lost business. And some you have to just let go. Some you have to fire. Look at your client list and realize you're losing 20 to 35% of that business every year. So are you already figuring out your numbers for next year and how much you need to sell? You guys know your numbers and say, okay, I need to sell this much business next year. X many clients if I sell annuals. All right, take that number and add 35% to it. Because you're going to have attrition this year and you probably didn't factor that in. If you don't, you're going to come out ahead of schedule. But you're going to lose clients. Sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's theirs. Okay? What's it costing you? It's costing you time, isn't it? Time is money, but isn't it costing you lost time? Every time you lose some money, don't you have to go out and find somebody to replace them? That's you're starting it over again. It's so much easier to just upgrade the people you have than it is to go out and find someone new. So you're losing time every time you lose a client, even the small ones. You have to kind of weigh out how much time are they costing me as a business, sucking up my time and energy, and how much time am I losing by losing them? If the smaller they are, the more easily you can let them go. My little thingy stuck here. Oh, there we go. You're losing money too. I think that was an obvious. Is that a no-brainer? Losing money? They go away, they're not spending with you. That's bad. And you're getting a bad reputation. How many of you have had a client who once said to you, I tried radio once and it... Oh, you had him too? I think we just passed that guy around. Anybody in here sell for television? You've got that guy too, don't you? Yeah. He tried television once and it didn't work. And it had pictures. I'm looking at him saying, you know what the problem is? The problem's probably your client. Either the seller who dealt with them didn't do the job right, and they shortcutted somewhere, and they mismanaged that client's expectations, or the client themselves were not cooperative. They weren't tracking their results. They weren't measuring their own success. They sat back and said, we'll just know if it's working. Give me a break. How will you know if it's working? We'll just know. Kill me now. Shouldn't they be able to measure? How many cars a month do we need to sell? How many heating and air conditioning units do we need to sell? How many repairs need to be made for you to be in profit on what you're advertising? Do you know what your goal is each month to help them sell? If not, you need to go back and look at them and say, how many of these do I need to move? How much are they spending? How do I get them into profit? Another thing that's contributing to this is you didn't identify the true need. We always assume people want to sell more and have more traffic. True? Is that always their true need? They often think it is. Have you ever called on a client who said, we don't want to grow? How do you get those people to advertise? You can, you know, right? Remember that thing we were talking about called attrition?
Why are they doing what they're doing?
Yeah, they're happy with it. If it's a little mom and pop bookstore, aren't they happy with where they are? Do they want to grow and be huge? Have to hire people? Yeah, they don't. But there's that little thing you were dealing with called attrition. You come to them with their attrition, say you're losing 20 to 35% of your business every year. People move in, people move out, people forget about you, people pass away, people move away. And you say, here, what we're going to do is set you up. You take that top 40 survey with the months, look at their category, high and low months. I'm going to help you sell a little bookstore, probably don't have a lot of money. 2 spots a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. There's your annual, right? And at times, so your budget's going to be even. You're going to, let's say it's $100 a spot, so they're going to do $200 a month, right? Because a small business needs to manage that budget. So they can predict what they're going to spend every month. And you say, if you're getting too much business, give me a call and we'll bank one of your spots. We'll run 1 spot a day for a while. And then if your business starts to get slower and you need more advertising, we'll take some of those spots out of the bank and bump you back up. Maybe you're running 2 spots a day, maybe you're running 3 spots a day until you're at threshold. Because our goal now is to keep you even. They still need to advertise if they plan to be in business a year from now. But the goal, their true need now is to stay even. So find out what the true need. Do they need more sales? Do they need better salespeople? Do they need a recruitment campaign? What do they really, really need? We tend to screw ourselves over. We tend to overpromise and underdeliver. We've all done it. Some of us have learned. But managing their expectations is vital. You sell that car dealership. I've had the guy who thought 200 people were going to come stampeding onto his dealership the next Saturday and buy all of his cars. I mean, that's not even rational. But don't they think this is going to happen? Yeah, so you've got to make sure you manage their expectations and do this the other way. Promise something that's reasonable and acceptable to them, and then over-deliver in your service. Over-deliver in your service. Don't overpromise. And we get so enthusiastic about what radio can do or television can do, and we do that. We're constantly overpromising. And then your client service is where we hit last. If your client service is shabby or mediocre, you're killing yourself. How's customer service been for you lately? Not you doing it, but you receiving it.
Lousy.
It's lousy. We're impressed when it's mediocre. Have you noticed that? Ladies, when's the last time somebody opened a door for you? Somebody opens the door as you're walking into that French door, Target, and they hold the door open for you, and what is your reaction? Wow, oh my gosh, oh wow. You'll kind of stand there and stare at them. Oh, me? Oh, okay. We're not used to it. Mediocre customer service is now par excellence. So we need to make sure we're doing superior customer service. Exceed the expectations they have for you. Sounds easy to say, but you've got to get into your schedule and figure out how to do it. Seating is good. Articles, follow-up, tracking. Making sure they're making money. When they sign on to your station, does your whole station welcome them aboard? Does your GM or sales manager send them a thank you note personally or drop by the business? Does your talent drop into the business and buy something from them or thank them? Do you invite them to the station and have a little meeting with promotions and the talent and production who say, hey, I'm Steve, I'm in production, I'm the one who's going to create it, and have everybody meet them and welcome them aboard and talk about what they're going to do for that business? When you hired on, did everybody in your station say hi to you and welcome you aboard and introduce themselves, or were some of them surprised on your first day when you showed up? Yeah, onboarding is a bad thing, right, in most companies. So when you sign a new client, you need to have responsive onboarding from everybody in your station. That should just be policy. Every client gets greeted, welcomed, everybody gets a point of contact, somebody reaches out to them and says, I'm the production guy, I'm the promotions person. Love to have you on board, we can strategize over the course of the year and come up with some great stuff for you. And you gotta be proactive. Anticipate the things before they happen. High season, low season, we have the chart, right? So you know what's happening. Check out what's going on in their trade. Look at their articles. What's trending? What's going out? What are they talking about? So you can find things and solutions to problems that they're just now thinking about and they don't even know you're aware of. Because in media, they always think they need commercials to sell product. And maybe you should be going and talking to them about the Facebook page that's just languishing there. Or I understand at Mr. McDonald's that you guys are trying to figure out your mobile ordering. We've got a huge mobile campaign that we can put together for you. Won't solve that problem, but it will connect you with more mobile customers. Be proactive on these solutions. Make sense? Track and measure the results. That's an area most of us drop, and that's where the Stockholm Syndrome comes in. Do we have a chart over there? Well, I'm going to show you something on a whiteboard if I can. No, they don't have a whiteboard. Okay. I'm just going to have to make up the numbers out of my head. Go with me on this. Ready? I got a car dealership. He's a Lincoln dealership. He's got a Navigator. And I say to him, and my client needs analysis, what's your profit on the Navigator? And he says, none of your damn business. Right? Because that's the answer. And I say, well, the reason I'm telling you this is I need to set the goals for what we're going to achieve. So let's just throw some numbers out hypothetically. Hypothetically, let's say for every Navigator you sell, you make a $3,000 profit. And let's say that hypothetically, you're going to spend $6,000 a month on WBAP. Aren't these big numbers? Yeah, just blow it all up. Why not, right? It's hypothetical. That tells me that I need to help you sell 2 of these Navigators every month, over 12 months, to get you to break even. Is that correct? And that means I need to help you sell an average of 4 of these every month over 52 weeks to get you to a 2-to-1 return on your investment. Is that correct? He says, yes, that's correct. But I don't make $3,000 on every Navigator. We're just throwing numbers around. What are you comfortable with? He says, well, let's say $1,500, especially if they buy the accessories. Okay, well, that's even better. You make $15,000 on every navigator you sell, and let's say hypothetically you're going to spend $6,000 a month on WBAPs, and I ain't spending no $6,000 a month on your station. Well, we're just throwing numbers around. What number are you comfortable with? 3,000. Because you know me, I'm not mathy, right? You just cut that in half. I'm like, good. So I need to help you sell on average 2 navigators a month over 12 months for break even, and 4 a month over 52 weeks on average to get you a 2-to-1 return on the investment. Is that correct? Sure. Now, I now know what my goals are. I also found out what his budget is without having to ask him what his budget is, right? 3,000 is low. He's lowballing me by up to 35%. So, but 4,000 is going to be too high. So I'm going to come in with, I don't know, 3,200, 3,600 a month. Is he going to be surprised when I come in with an annual? Because I kept talking 12 months, and he's starting to be greedy about that 2-to-1. That's when he says, I want 5-to-1. I'm like, yeah, me too. But every month, should I be tracking with him if we're advertising the navigator? How many navigators have you sold this month? By the way, the gatekeeper helps you because your client starts to lie to you about 3 months in. 2, she says, behind him. Right? And you track with them every week. Be checking in with them. How many we sold them? Oh, we sold the Grand Marquis while we were at it. Oh, we sold them, and know what your profit is. So you're tracking the results, and they're tracking the results. Can you get to a 2-to-1 return at 4 cars a month? Sure you can. And so at the end of the year, have they gotten a 2-to-1 return on that investment? Only do that with people doing annuals. 13 weeks, you can't do it. You're lucky to get break even at 6 months. So if they'll sign an annual, you go for that 2-to-1 return. Then you just upgrade them. You start understanding how Stockholm Syndrome works. I had clients I'd use as a reference, and people would say, hey, this Brandeis Hall just came in. This guy raised that and goes, Brandeis Hall, she's a pill. She just pisses me off. He was my #1 reference. I said, well, then why do you work with her? Because she makes me so much money that if I left, I'd lose money. I can't leave. Made him nuts. Made him nuts. You can do that. You can do all of this. And the thing is, you know you can. You just got to up your game, take one area we talked about today and say, what can I do to improve my prospecting, my client needs analysis, my customer service. If you just look at those 3 areas, take one of them for 30 days, master it, take yourself to the top of your game, make it a habit. Business flossing. And then in January, start your client needs analysis. What can I do to up my game? Ask smarter questions, better questions, and start looking at the results. And then come March, start looking at your customer service. And up your game to where you just blow their minds with the kind of you offer. They'll never leave you. They may hate you, but they'll never leave you. And you'll be in profit with fewer clients. Sounds easy, isn't it? Yeah, I don't even have to do it anymore. I get to go home and have lunch. But you can do this. Happy to give you my number, my card. I've got my email is bhall@rab.com. I travel a lot, so sometimes email is the easiest way to reach me. Member or non-member of the RAB, I don't care. TV people, you're welcome to email me anytime with questions. We're going to do some CNA. We've got an advertiser panel. We'll open it up after that, too. And I'm around for the rest of the day. But if you've got a question about something, because we had to kind of gloss some of it, I'm happy to help you out anytime. Just shoot me an email, and I'll be there for you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to open up Q. Always be selling. Want to open it up to Q&A for the room and take some questions before we start with the advertising panel. The only thing I ask is that you stand up, speak loudly like I do, and say, my name is John, I'm from Indy 88, Toronto. I would like to know Brandeis. Can you tell me about 52-week annuals and how the best way is to do them?
Is that really your question?
That's a good question to start.
Best. Best is subjective. It's good. The best way to do that is always go into your appointment assuming that's what you're going to come out with at the end of the day. You're not going to be able to get that if you just do one meeting and then try to close. You've got to invest the time and the service going in with your research, your client needs analysis. Most of the ones I closed at annuals, I had 2 client needs analysis meetings with them. 2, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's going to take me forever to close them. It would take me up to 3 weeks to a month to close a client. But I constantly I was having meetings almost every day. And I would group them in the same area to not waste a lot of time. Because Dallas, you drive all over the place. But go in with the assumption, do the work up front with the smart questions, 2 client needs analysis that's what's going to take, so that the next logical step for them is to sign for an annual. It becomes the only logical choice for them to make. That's the best way to do it. You will still have objections, but mostly their big fear is what if it doesn't work? And with a year, you've got time to make it work.
Good, thank you. Who else has a question? Patrick?
Pat Gonzalez with Chorus Local Sales Toronto.
Hi, Pat.
In that 52-week schedule, are you customizing to the point where you may have, I don't know what's on a weekly schedule, 15 or 20 awareness and branding commercials, and then you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling that campaign when they have specific tactical campaigns, whether it's Black Friday or an anniversary sale or whatever?
That's always an option, and the cool thing about an annual is you can build that in going forward. You have to remember to ask for that. The cool thing with 52 weeks is you've got time to brand. And one thing I learned from companies like McDonald's, the burger company, you might have heard of, is every spot they run is branding and sells something. And a lot of times people are, should I brand or should I sell something? Every spot should do both. You've got, with a 52-week schedule, you've got the continuity of like a jingle that's a theme, their unique selling point as their slogan, and you can build a brand through every commercial because each one just builds on the next. People are moving in and out of that buying cycle, so a commercial they heard this month, they might not need for 3 months, or something will catch them later, because we know this. How many of you guys have bought a mattress before? How often should you replace your mattress? 3 years. Who said 3 years? 10 years. Yeah, the commercials will have you believe 8, but most people do it at 10 to 12 years. Because most people are gross, but no, it's true. So you're always moving in and out of the buying cycle. You may be 6 years out from a new mattress, but what if you strip the sheets and go to do laundry and the cat has kittens on your mattress? What'd you just do with your buying cycle? You slammed into it, right? So the annual thing works because you have to get the client to understand that you go off the air, people forget about you and drift off. You want, the purpose of advertising is to become known before you're needed. And that's why you've got to stay annual, because you never know when somebody's going to need you. It may not be today. So you can build in where they know their special sales are, their 4th of July blowouts. If they're a mattress retailer, I love them because Veterans Day and Memorial Day and 4th of July, these are all American holidays. You don't have any of these. You have no holidays apparently in Canada. You build it around their holidays, because that's when they're going to do those big sales. Although this mattress retailer who was in business forever told me, well, I only want to advertise on the holidays because that's when people buy mattresses. He actually told me that. 25-year success story, and I thought, how in the world are you still in business? So people buy mattresses around the holidays because that's when the sales are. I didn't say that to him in quite that tone. But I built the 52 weeks based on cats having kittens on the mattress. And it was amazing. People bought mattresses between the holidays too. Shocking. So yeah, build in, up the spots. Again, you can do 4 spots a day, and then when they're going to have a big sale, you can build in 20 spots for something short term that they need to put in there. And again, it gives you the option of balancing it all out over a monthly payment. They may want to pay more when they've had the big sales because they're cash flush, but they may want to spread it out over the course of the year and just bank the spots. Gives you a lot more flexibility. Yes?
Hi, Sandra Bond from Quinny Broadcasting, a family-owned, no, just kidding.
Makes me want to work there.
Exactly. Have an annual client, has been an annual client for a lot of years and has not had a rate increase in forever. And I think it's time to have that discussion. I was just wondering if you had any strategies or tips on how to deal with that conversation without losing.
Yes. A couple of things are probably going on here. One, does he have an end of date on the contract, or is it till further notice?
Kind of ongoing.
Yeah. And the smaller the company, I've noticed with broadcasters, the more likely there is till further notice, and you're afraid to touch them because they might. In fact, usually I aren't even calling on them anymore. Just hope they don't notice. Their account keeps just paying the bill. So that's where your problem is already. You're going to have to take time to build up your client service with them. And start upping your game. You might want to ease into that, because if you just suddenly blow them away with great customer service, they're going to know you're up to something. It's like kids. It gets really quiet. You're like, what are you doing? Okay, you get really noisy all of a sudden. What are you doing? So start working with articles every other week or something, sending them stuff. But you need to be checking in with them. Start with twice a month. and start getting them to track the results of what they're advertising this month. If their creative is not specific, they can't track it. The more generic the commercials, I would love to come and do a creative session with you guys. The more generic the commercials, the less they can measure results. They have no idea what's going on. So you want to be advertising the Tahoe, something they can track and measure. And every business you can do that with. Trying to get them to do it's a little tough. So you're going to have to put the frog in the pan of cold water and slowly turn up the heat on them. And then in about 6 months or so, when you're tracking how much money they're making and they start saying, oh my gosh, I'm making money on this, people are coming in and buying what I was just advertising, and you're tracking with them, give it about a good 6 months and say, you know, with the money you're making, you could be making more, but you'll need to spend more. You need to invest. I always use sales words with clients. Return on investment, sales, traffic. I don't talk about average quarter hour. I don't even say listeners. I talk about the consumers that listen to my station. I talk in terms of customers. And after about 6 months, you'll turn up the heat on and say, if you want to make more money and have greater results, you need to invest a little more, and then we'll try to double that investment with you. And you've proven it can work. But yeah, you got some back work to do.
Harry Burke from Bell Media.
I hear.
How would you strategically handle a client in the case of the 13-week chicken out period differently from a client at the 52-week period with a precursor that they've done a half-decent job actually measuring results? How would you handle those two?
So they're already seeing some success?
They've seen some success. You know, they've been obviously questioning radio because of the 36 calls that they're getting.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they're happy, this is good.
Yes.
If they're already tracking results and seeing success, then the buyer cycle is great to talk to them about. Very often the 13-week clients, we've all had them, they come on and their sales start to work and they say everything's going good, so I'm going to come off the air for a while. And then 3 months later they want back on because their sales have dipped. And you're like, well, are you seeing a pattern here? Because then you come back on, you come back off. And so it becomes the thing of your name brand keeps going away. The consumers who listen to my station are losing their trust because you're not consistent. Plus you're missing, every time you go away, you're losing out on all the people who you've primed to come buy from you, and you disappear, and people's attention spans are notoriously short. They're like the length of a rabid gnat now. Especially with mobile and technology, our attention spans are shorter. So all of a sudden they're drifting off and could go to a competitor. So we'd like to keep you consistent. If budget's an issue, we can work with that, but let's keep you consistent and build on the results you're getting rather than have you go away, because you will see them drop. I hate to keep coming back to this company, but McDonald's is a classic reason for that. How many of you know where the McDonald's closest to your house is? How many of you know what they sell? How many of you know what it costs? How many of you can taste the French fries if I say McDonald's French fries? Right. But all over the world, they spend billions in advertising. Billions. Everybody knows they're there. Don't you like the ones that say, everybody knows we're here? So you just cut off my mic. Thanks a lot. Everybody knows we're here. That's got nothing to do with it. Do they come buy from you? Every time McDonald's stops advertising, their sales drop. That's how it works. And these people say, well, I'm not McDonald's. It's like, right, but the theory works the same. If you quit advertising, your sales drop. That's just how advertising works, because you're not known before you're needed.